Hello everyone. Just gonna go through like the more gameplay reviews today. It's Oscillio. Uh, yeah, we're going second in this matchup. Let's see what's gonna happen. Simple opponent attacks. Not going at. We just block 5. We keep the Orb Weaver Spinneret. Best card in our deck for the early game. Our opponent has a good turn. Thankfully, this doesn't feel too bad. From the sigil, we're gonna heal 3 back up. So we only actually take 1, and they use some good cards. Good draw for our opponent though. Gets to cash in the maximum value before. This looks like this is quite scary for us. This is a very strong Oscillio start. So on this turn, I think we're gonna do a very simple. I think we're gonna go like dagger, CNC flick. Is how I would assume this turn's gonna go. Arsenaling the Orb Weaver Spinneret. We're in no rush to play this turn, but we know he's arsenaled. Got in the flash, so we want to interact with that. We see our opponents brought Tunic, which I think is a mistake. Because currently with this setup, Brilliance, Channel Valley, Gone the Flash, and Arsenal, I think my opponent, if he had the other chess piece, could combo off. But they must be ready for like a slow game, so because they have Tunic, we can use that as an information to gauge that they're probably going to have D-Reacts. Because they want to like play like a longer, grindier game. Which is perfect for us as the Marionette player. Yeah, all I imagine is all 3 equipment pieces, give me a card, they're going to have a nice big turn next turn. Yeah, they get to cash in because they have a Channel Valley, the Brilliance is going to draw. Thankfully the CNC like reduced 1 card out of their hand to like give us like an extra chance. But yeah. I'm quite worried about how this next turn's gonna go. I've got like trauma from Oscillio players killing me on turn 2, and this looks like one of those turns. The only benefit that we have is that because they have Tunic, they can't do like the crazy turn that they could have probably done if they had a old knocker. I'm sat here thinking, but this is an easy flick. We have the Orb Weaver Spinneret. There's just like no reason not to flick. Because they can't really like Oscillio players can interact with your hand with Mind Warp, but nothing really interacts with the arsenal. No. So obviously our opponent has a Channel Lightning Valley. They don't have Go Again. They don't have Old Knocker. So I'm less scared about them constantly using this Gone the Flash, because if they want to constantly use it, they have to pitch a card. And if they pitch a card, that turns weaker. Maybe they could pitch like a yellow or blue, and then that also plays for the Volzo if they don't have any more sigils. But we know they have a Sigil of Brilliance. That's also just not the case. But in our head, so I guess I'll pause, because so in my head, I have a Codex of Inertia. They have a Gun in the Flash. They're probably going to do like a decent turn. Like, I don't think it's going to be too insane because they don't have Old Knocker. I think it's going to just be like a good high value turn. And then they're going to play for the Tunic next turn. So what do I want to do? I want to interrupt that like big turn. And I think I want to go like Codex of Inertia and also Disruption's like a really elite combo. But that doesn't look like we have that right now. So I think I would actually helmet into Funnel Web, so I can contest my opponent's Con the Flash and just make sure it's gone. And then because we're blocking 2, I think I would block with like the Pain. just to make sure we like, in case we have to use our free blocks. So now we're just gonna put our hands together and pray. They have a blink, which means that their turn's gonna continue. They're not gonna use their legs. They play the sigil. That means that they probably don't have a blast in their hand. These are just like little informations that we can grab of how they're playing. I'm very happy to see a Volsa activation. This means this turn's pretty much ending. The Mind Warp's a little bit upsetting, but the rest of it's okay. So they had 2 cards, so the chances are the God in the Flash is probably not in the arsenal. I think this is a mistake. I don't know. I think it's because in my head I know they've probably not got. They like IP'd some cards there, and the God in the Flash is probably in the hands, so this Arsenal Disruption doesn't hit them. But so we're not gonna. So this is not disrupting my opponent. And I'm giving up these cards in my hand anyway. I think I should have went Orb Weaver into the Prognosis, seen if my opponent, and then make my opponent have to respect box 7, and I think that would have given me a lot of tempo. So I think this is a mistake. I think this is one of those moments where you like preset a plan in your head, and you try your best to follow through with it. This is just wrong. There's a chance my opponents either not got God in the Flash in their arsenal, or they have an instant. Worst case would be a D-React. This definitely should have been a Spinneret into a Prognosis, because at least that way I'm still threatening the hand, and I will also threaten the arsenal, so if they did arsenal the God in the Flash, it's going to get hit. If they didn't arsenal the God in the Flash, it's going to get hit. There was a sink below, it's the worst case scenario for us. And then our opponent can just ignore it, right? Where if we made him block with a card in his hand, we'd be in a way better situation. The only benefit that we have here is that we get to remark them after some damage. But if we made them block 7, they would have stayed marked anyway. And we could, in making them block 7 would really have given us a lot of info. If we attack Prognosis for 4, they're probably gonna. We would have got a bit blown out here though, because they had double sync. But overall, we got like rewarded for the wrong reasons. So we're doing 1 more damage than we should this turn. We should have done the Prognosis line. Yeah, here's the God in the Flash we know about. One sec. Sorry about that. I had a phone call and someone at the door at the same time, so there's gonna be a little bit of jump cut. I just reversed. I forgot to pause when I got distracted. So what's happening here is we've drawn quite a nice hand. Save to the point stain. This is all playable with 1 tunic. Once again, showing the power of the tunic in this deck. None of these cards make me want to block. All the cards are worth more. The stains of the red back could be valued for free life if I'm getting a bit worried about how close it is. But as it stands, I'm okay not blocking. This turn looks like our opponent's going to try and do some stuff. They've cashed in their legs in the tunic. I think I would maybe block 1 on the next attack. I think the Stains blocking 3 is probably better than me pushing 3. He's already revealed 2 D-Reacts, so it's not like he's going to stop this dagger for, what is it, 10? Because it's 4-4-2. Yeah, I think, once again, I should have blocked Stains, so I would be on a higher life total. I'm just playing into, like, Oscillio high rolling me. Good benefit that we noticed there is he did this big turn with his legs and we didn't get hit by an arcane spell. Our opponent's drawing really well right now. It's obviously not perfect, but it's like, I would say it's 80% of a good hand. They're just getting punished for their incorrect equipment suite. And then as you realize in all these turns, AB would have done nothing for us. Yeah. Yeah, I think I would have preferred 18 life and coming in for 10. It'll be 23 plays 18. We have a Codex of Inertia. We have a random draw. We'll see what's happening. So we're attacking with this Mark of the Black Widow. We would flick here just to have an on-hit. I would happily trade my Clave for my opponent to lose a card. If he then has like a D-React, we could even think about using Leg Starting Point to try and remove some more cards, potentially. It's 100% correct to flick. We're getting low. We can't have our opponent play 5 cards next turn. No D-React from our opponent, so they lose a card here. Or do they banish? Seems like our opponent did not expect us to flick. We're gonna be a bit naked next turn. We don't have a Clave. We don't have Tunic. So if we pitch a card into the Graphene, it's gonna feel a little sad. But we still have legs, so you can still use the legs as like a get out jail function. Okay, so he removed 3 life from his hand. So every card in his hand must now be proactive. So let's see what this Codex of Inertia does for us. Yeah. It looks like I'm trying to multitask because I keep seeing my mouse go off the screen. Sorry about the Discord noises. One damage for us. Good ponder though. So we drew a hand that's just completely playable. So now we're just worried about how much damage our opponent does. So when you're playing against Oscillio, after they've done these big turns, you kind of don't want to go less than 5 life unless like there's a gun to your head and you need it to win the game. Because once you go less than like 5 life, it's very easy for you to just die by like instant stuff on their turn. Kind of like how Kano like finishes you off. They go like cosine or instant, like amp. And that's like they play like 3 or 4 lightnings, and then the cosign counts as 2 towards itself, and it comes in for like 5 arcane, and you're just dead. Like these are the type of things that you try to avoid. We've seen a few cosigns from our opponent, so thankfully that's like less likely. They do have access to the 1-cost ones, shocks and stuff still. Knowledge shocks become a bit less of a include because it just has 0 block. And like obviously, as you said, the deck got more and more optimized. It kind of just like the new free block replaced the old 1-cost shock. So this looks like right now I'm quite happy. I'm like, oh, nice. I've got so much life. And then my opponent hits me with this big Comet Storm. Amped 6. Hits me for 11. I go, wait a minute. Why am I almost dead? And then this is the moment where I'm like, I should have blocked better on that attack that they just did on me. I was not expecting 11. I forgot about the what's its name? The arms. I forgot about the arms amping as well. So I was just actually confused about how I took so much. So my opponent I'm playing is my friend. So if I remember correctly, I asked them to go. I'm like, hey bro, why did I take 11? But so this is another world. So like, let's say if my opponent was on 17 life and I blocked with that red back. So that's 17. I'm 5. I would feel like safer. I'd be like on the brisk of dying, but I'd still be safer. And then even then, I could have blocked with another card in this hand potentially, maybe like the Orb Weaver or the Scar Tissue. I could have blocked their blast, and I would have been on like what 8 life. And like 8 life is really hard for me to die at. It's like that's like 2 turns for Oscillio to kill me, or they have to have another card turn where they keep all their cards. But then what would they be at? They'd be at 17. So like if I did block twice, they'd be at 17, and this hand would have been dealing less numbers. It would be coming in for like, yeah. So we can see maybe my play comes to my mind. I like when I attack my opponent, I realize they don't instantly go to kill me. So I'm over the moon. I'm like, oh my god, I am not dead. They haven't drawn an instant speed spell. There's hope at the end of the tunnel. I think I worded this a bit sarcastically though, if I remember correctly. Because yeah, even though I'm playing my friend, he's unable to mic, so we just text when we have to speak to each other. Here's me complaining that my opponent drew well. I should just grow up and do what they did and draw better. Oh no, but this is great though. It's like back to like the seriousness. This is a good sign for us. This means that because they haven't drawn an instant speed spell, if we somehow kill them this turn, we're gonna be like in a great spot to win. But their opponent is correct to like evaluate that they have like a high chance of dying. So like if we just math it out before they finish their blocking, we have access to because we've seen 2 Sync Belows. So unless they're on the 6D React deck, or maybe the hand's got some sigils, I think we could potentially find lethal if they don't block correctly here. Because we can go, we've got Kiss of Death for 6, it'll be 100 for 7, so we'll do Scar, that goes to 10. We have Tarantula Toxin, that's 13. And then we're going to flick the Kiss for 15. And then we're going to attack with the pain in the backside, that's 18 value. Obviously, the pain is like more face up, so they'll block that. So then so if they don't block this correctly, we have 15 value. So if they currently, let's say this is a 1 block, and we can see the number as a 1 and a 2, but if this was a 3 block and a 1 block, and we toxin, scar tissue, use our legs, do the whole shebang, we currently have lethal. Just depends on how our opponent blocks here. The toxin's not worth like full value, unfortunately, but because we're not attacking with another type of stealth attack here, we need to do it. So we're doing 12 damage, and we're going to flick for 2. So our opponent needs to have a way to survive here. They haven't conceded, so we can like take this as they have an out. In my head, I maybe imagine they don't have it, but then they're going to about to gamble draw. My opponent has to block free because if he blocks any other way, he would potentially die. Our opponent, I think maybe misunderstood when they asked if this kills. If I can flick if this has an on hit to do the kiss. Because it does technically have an on hit to get the kiss. But also if I flick the kiss and attack reaction step, it won't have the on hit to flick the kiss. And then with the sigil, if I just do like a graphene here, they probably just lived on 1. And then they could hit me back with the 0 for free arcane spell. Maybe then. I think this game probably should have been a loss. Oh, let's see my background for a sec. The opponent's marked here, and we have double Charissa, which is really good. I think this is the game where the Oscillio is drawn really well, and we've just had to like handle it to the best of our capabilities. I don't think we've played perfect. I think we've made a few mistakes. I think us trading some of our life for damage is like incorrect when it shows our opponent is drawing well. If our opponent was drawing bad, the decisions we made were correct. In this game state, I think we've misevaluated our position. Our opponent overblocks here. We could have used to the point for 1 damage, lose the mark, doesn't really do much for us. So passing, we'd rather just do this on the next graphene, right? So we have a decision point here. We know our opponent has 5 block in their hand. We can attack with the we can go Graphene, pitching the to the point, and if they overblock, Leave No Witness is lethal. Or we can attack with the Leave No Witness. We can pitch the Leave No Witness, attack with the Graphene. Our opponent sees us pitch 2 attacks, assumes they don't have the react, or they don't think, or maybe they play around like, oh, we don't have to the point specifically, because if they give us Gone in the Flash and we just have like a generic +3, they get to go, the weapon goes to 4, they take 1, Flick does 1, they'd go to 1 life and they wouldn't die. But but to the point would still kill a Gone in the Flash block, because it's just a +1 value in that situation. I think I sit and tank here for a sec, and I'm wondering, it's just a 50-50. Do I think my opponent blocks 2, or do I think my opponent blocks 1? There is no correct decision. There is, what is your opponent going to do? Sometimes you're right, sometimes you're wrong. And I go for this because I've already pitched the leave. So if I pitch another leave, it just looks like I might have a codex, or I might have an attack. I'm like selling that my hand's kind of potentially attack heavy, and I was just bluffing the entire time. Because my opponent double blocks, he's gonna have like a nothing turn, right? He comes at us for like free value. It does give them a chance to like draw into an instant. So maybe they just take it. But if they block 5 and I attack them, they lose. So they're now thinking, which 50-50 do they want to take? Are they going to put me on attack, or are they going to put me on a reaction? Ooh, the suspense. You can also try and think of yourself as either player and see which side would you take. And we win the game. They blocked with 1 card. So I think there's a bit of a misunderstanding there, and I think if my opponent didn't misunderstand what I meant when I was saying, or like, it's not my job to help them anyways, but like, just let's say we were both playing optimal, I think that was my game to lose. But there is also the same situation where if I understood my position of I am the lower life, my opponent is drawing hot, I need to protect my life points, that the situation wouldn't matter too much, because I wouldn't be as scared of these lethal lines, and I wouldn't be as needed to push the end of the game if I just had enough life to not die to like random instant stuff. But that's one game. I'm gonna do a second game right now. Same person, same sideboard, all that stuff. I just we'll just be flipping sides. So I think going first is more detrimental in this matchup, because there's a really high chance the Oscillio player can just like set up a bunch of permanents if your opening hand's quite bad. See if we can just start the skip. Alright, so what we have here is we see our opponents change their equipment swap. They've understood that Old Knocker is correct. They're trying Cap of Quick Thinking. I think this is just something they wanted to test. So when I see the Cap of Quick Thinking, I could, well, might as well pause and discuss a bit. I know that if I flick here, very solid chance they use this equipment, but this is turn 0. So if I get one of their permanent equipments gone on turn 0, I am not upset. I could have, if I wanted to, attack with the Clave. If I really wanted to push numbers this turn, because I don't have a reaction, so I'm not that bothered about, like, there's a chance my opponent just full blocks the kiss, so I'm not trying to gain too much there. I would rather keep the shred in my hand, or if they don't use the helmet, and I can use it as an attack reaction. So what I want to do here is, I want to attack with the, and then, because they're always going to block the kiss, so the shred will never ever not get value this turn. Where if I pitch it for 1, I might not get the helmet, and if they give me this helmet, I'm quite happy. So if I wanted to push the Saver draw, the correct line is, like, you play Saver, you attack with Claves, you flick, you maybe go for a Kiss of Death, you may go for Pain, you do all these little things to be like, you need to block me, give me your cards. I mean, I'm trying to like gotcha you so I can draw from this Saver into like doing some numbers. but I would be quite happy just doing some damage with my shred and removing that helmet. That to me, I would take as a win. So that's why I've decided to go for this line. There, we're gonna flick here. We're completely assuming that the helmet gets used, which this is fine. One of our opponents just lost one of their permanents on turn 0. This is great news. And then we're probably gonna still do some damage with our shred. They have a D-react. Congratulations to my opponent. Congratulations to my opponent. But I've also had a decent mulligan. They've blocked with a Guard in the Flash. Overall, everything in this situation has been good to me. They also didn't get a chance to set up any value. We've gotten quite lucky and we've drawn another Saber Bloodshed. One of the best cards in our deck. Every card in our hand is needed. So no blocks. We close our eyes. We don't have to gamble helmet. We don't have to do anything. We're just happy with how the turn is. We're happy with how our hand looks. Our hand's very simple. We're just gonna go pain, play, bloodshed, codex into a Kiss of Death. That was a nice finisher for our opponent. They get to have an instant in their arsenal. So we know now that because they have an instant in their arsenal, that whenever we codex, we're going to give them the ability to pick that gun in the flashback. So if we were really paranoid, we could think about going save a weapon pass, arsenal codex pass. Like if we're really genuinely worried about like returning a gun in the flash opponent, which is something that maybe we should be worried about. I remember I went for the numbers line this game, but because my opponent hasn't drawn as hot this game, I could have potentially taken a slower approach. Especially because they're blocking this turn. So we know their next turn is going to be like this, a very medium power level. But I think I wanted to play max tempo. And max tempo is we go Saver into Kiss, threatening 9 on hit draw. And then in my head, it was if my opponent wants a gun the flash, he has to discard a card. So I was just like, I'll accept I'm giving my opponent a chance to like gain some value against me. But I'm gonna push enough of a lead from the cards I play that I'm okay with that. This is a conscious decision I've made. I didn't think it would be too bad because I'd imagine be like if they play the instant from their arsenal, they get gun the flash, they discard a card. But as it turns out, the hand was all instances. So they don't get punished by the discard a card part of the game. They are using up a Sigil of Brilliance though, which is nice for me. But they don't have that. They don't have the bounce helmet, so it's less like scary now. But we have a chance to do a lot here. Like if we draw like a Leave No Witness here, it's back-breaking, game-winning. We draw a card we can't play. It's also a card that's quite bricky. This is like worst case scenario for us. At least we have a Ponder token, so we can put the less bricky one in our arsenal, but if we have a luck, this is just like we went for a high tempo play and then we got rewarded with back-to-back 4 blues. So we're quite upset at this situation, if I'm being honest. We've given our opponent their gun in the flashback, and we've just drawn a bunch of bad cards. The one like slight benefit is Orb Weaver Spinneret at least gives us access to Graphene. And I think our turn is going to do like a bad turn now. As it stands, we're probably going to do some turn with like Surgical. There's a world we do something like Surgical, go again. Like we go like Weapon, Surgical, Tunic, go again, Surgical. But that's just not that great. That's just like desperate. That's like just desperate to like max out our hand. The opponent attacks us with Gone the Flash. We have access to either we gamble block Helmet, or we block with a blue. But we take like this hand sucks, right? We're behind. We guy with classes as being behind now because of how bad this hand was. So there's actually something interesting that I didn't do, but now that I think about it, I could have done. I guess I'll wait for him to Arsenal pass, or if he does anything else, then we'll talk. Okay, so let's evaluate our hand. We hit Orb Weaver, so we can turn one of our cards into 4 value. Well, 4-ish value because it won't have go again as it stands. But we could buff the Prognosis. We have this cut that we want to use. So I didn't think about it at the time, but I think a line that we could have done here is we could attack our Surgical, make them give us a card and armor. Then we could activate Orb Weaver, discarding like, let's say, so we go like Orb Weaver pitch blue Spinneret. We activate Orb Weaver, that's an instant. We give the Surgical go again. Then we hit them with Prognosis for 4. So if they needed to have, they would need to have like a D-Reacts, or they need 2 free blocks and then give up both of their armor. And if they give us Old Knocker, we're very happy. Or they would have to like double block one of the cards that we do. So we're doing like 4 disruption on hits. And then we would have Arsenal the cut for the next turn, where we have a Graphene and a Tunic. So we've done double disruption attack. It's costed us our legs, but the legs are there to like stop these horrendous turns. And then we would have Arsenal the 0 for 4 next turn. And then that way we're like trying to deny the value from them having like a Gun in the Flash on their Arsenal. And if we can get the chess piece, we're like over the moon, right? I think that's the turn I should have done. I don't think that's the turn I do. But now that I've reflected on it, that's definitely the better turn. So I see my opponent's hand is... Yeah, see, look, they can't even block. Obviously, they're going to like discard draw for Oscillio. But they could not even block us. We do something similar-esque, where we're going to go Hunter's Clave, and then we're going to attack with a buffed Prognosis. So the turn we're doing isn't that bad, but 4 disruption twice would have been more backbreaking to my opponent than going in for 5. If like any of these were like reds, then this could have been like at least a 7. 7 would have been detrimental. But yeah, but that was a interesting sequence of events where we use the Orb Weaver effect to get a flick for 1 damage, and then we get to play the other blue in our hand for 1 value and keep a Graphene. So we've maxed out the value on our hand this turn and not used our legs. So this is like the second best line if you were trying to be conservative with your equipment. I think, understanding the position of the game, we should have went for the most disruptive line. Because we have a lead and we want to just keep stunting our opponents. And being fully set up and having Tunic next turn, I think we were in an okay position to give up legs. Our opponent blocks free here. We're like, okay. I assume a D-React's gonna happen. So they discarded into a D-React. So a double 4-line would have got like... One of the attacks would have got punished, the other one probably would have got hit by the Gunner Flash and the armor. The double disruptive turn wouldn't have been as nice as we wanted because our opponent drew into a D-React. So we got like some slight benefit here. But I am surprised they blocked with this Gun the Flash. They could have went armor and the 4. But I guess they just... There's no reason for them to use the armor because they're already... it's not like they can do anything with the extra Gun the Flash. So we haven't actually been too punished by giving them the Gun the Flash back in their arsenal. Because they would have had the other one to play with. So we did correct by like going for the max tempo line. So, oh yeah. I was wondering why I was going crazy on my talk on the Tactical Toxin there. But I realized as this, like, once again, my opponent's probably not blocking me next turn, right? He's on 20 free life. This Toxin is probably worth free value. I should have blocked for free value. Because then, by blocking for free value, that also opens me up to playing the Codex of Inertia before my attack. If the top card of my deck is an attack reaction or attack related card, like a dagger related card, I could have used it instantly. So, once again, I should have blocked with Toxin here, so that my Codex of Inertia was more easy, was more fluid and has a higher success rate of doing well for me. And trading life, where I save more, is also a good positive for me to do. Yeah, it should be 23 plays 23 here, and then I do 10. Similar lifetimes it stole his last game when I could have blocked and didn't. But now I've given my Inertia a lot more ways to fill because I've done this line. For a bit. Probably on me. So what is my Codex of Inertia? What have I done to myself? I got bailed out. I didn't deserve this. Oh, wait. So if I did block the Toxin, I wouldn't have even had to Tunic. I could have just gotten a Kiss of Death here. And by getting a Kiss of Death, I get to save my Tunic for next turn. And by tunicking my opponent, yeah. So, this is how the game is currently, but in the alternate timeline where we played better, we would have went for a Kiss of Death here, had the Tunic available, being on 20 free life, and also by having the Tunic available, when we attack with our Kiss of Death for 12, we would be able to go Tunic, Graphene, Flick it as well. So yeah, this Codex would have been like an insane hit for us, because we would have went, our opponent was 23, right? We would have went from 23, they would have took 12, 13, same damage taken then. So we wouldn't have lost any value on damage-wise. And then we could have went Graphene, Flick, doing 3 damage. Probably 2 because they block 1 on the Graphene. So they would have been on 8 life and we'd be on 23. But they wouldn't have had to block with equipment. They wouldn't have had to block the Prognosis. There's a chance we still could have done the Prognosis even if we hit the Codex. But... yeah, we should be at 23 and our opponent should be at 8. It should be an 8 or 10 with, and we still have Tunic. This Tunic is very, very useful. I wouldn't hate using it for free value. I usually say if you get like 1 or 2 value from your Tunic, it's probably a mistake to use. Because you usually can always get it free because the card you go to pitch to attack you can block with when you have a Tunic up. So my opponent lets me know here that they're mathing out how their turn works if they give us both their equipment slots. So it seems like they're working out. Do they need Old Knocker for this turn? If they don't need Old Knocker, then they just give us a card. If they want Old Knocker, yeah, vice versa. You know what I mean? We'll just skip forward a bit because there's a lot of thinking here. You don't need to sit here and think with us. They decided to give us both their equipment slots. We still flick because we want to transform. If we transform into 6, we heal. If we transform into 1 to 5, we do some extra damage potentially. We get an Orb Weaver, that means we did attack for 0. This is our opponent's big turn. So let's imagine if we didn't flick. Let's say if we did the max damage turn last turn, they'd be 8. We wouldn't have transformed, and they wouldn't be marked. And we'd have Clave Chalitera still, and we'd be at 23. But they'd have access to their arms and their chest, which we can kind of work out how much that would matter. The first attack for free. You can block this if you'd want, but you might be playing into like a Channel Valley, and if they use it and don't bounce it, that's kinda less damage. So we don't play into that. Our opponent isn't using legs, so they're just able to stay. They're able to use all their cards. We know what their cards are. They have like a 0 for 4 left. They have like a 0 for 7 and stuff. We want to try and prioritize the life as much as we can because we don't want to get too low, and we kind of know what they're going to do for the rest of these turns. We know there's at least another 8 damage coming. The opponent hits us for 7. Comes in for 4. So if we take 1, we go to 8. We're currently mapping is, do we kill our opponent with our current hand? Our current hand is 4, 8, 11. And they can't really block it, so it's like, well, if they do block with 1, it's technically like 6, so it's like 4, 6, 14. And then on hit 50, yeah. And then we can go legs, graphene. So it's 14, 15, flick for 17. So like, imagine our opponents on 1 less life, and imagine we have 3 more life. We'd be way more comfortable. Our opponent does 4 here. So I like this. I said earlier, I like to be at the sweet spot of 5 because it reduces my chances of dying, and I feel very confident that my hand next turn is going to kill them, or present enough to just like keep all the tempo in my favor. I'm going to tank a bit on like if I want to be at exactly 4 or 5. I decide 5 makes me very safe to like my opponent throwing the nuts on me. But we should really be a free higher health. Like once again, it's just like if we want free higher health here, we'd be like, I'd feel like we'd be in an unlosable game state. We would have probably like not blocked with flick, so we'd be on like 2 high. We'd be on like 7, but we'd have flick knives, and flick knives is worth 2 value in this current situation. So if we weren't transformed and we'd had flick knives, we'd be on 7 life. We'd have our clave. We'd be able to go flick, kiss, and then flick the clave. And so we do the same numbers of damage wise, because flick would be 1, clave would be 1, to the point would be 1. But then we wouldn't be able to do the twister attack later, so we'd lose like 1 total value in this turn. The opponent goes instant, bad sign. Co-sign, a very bad sign. Currently we're going to 1 life. He's got 2 draws. One of these has to be an out. It's not in the current hand. He'd 1 more draw. And we die. So the flick knives. Yeah, I'm being a little bit of a salty loser. I've got so much trauma with Oscillio, bro. So like this is just one of those moments where we made all the correct decisions, and sometimes it doesn't matter. But you need to think about the decisions you made. You're correct. So like reflecting on the game, I was like, obviously at the moment I was just like, oh, I can't believe I lost. This is miserable. It's literally, in my own words, so cringe. I did the maths and I still like, he got like the perfect situation. So that sometimes happens, right? If I blocked 3 life, I didn't lose. If I blocked 3 more life, this wouldn't have happened to me, and the life totals would be in a similar situation. I might have lost a few more from the fact that they didn't have to give up their chest, because they had to sequence in a way that they had to vault a little bit early. So it might have turned out all the same, to be honest. But it's a good example of whenever the games are kind of close, because they have such a like instant speed like kill range, trading free for free, you should understand when the life matters more than the damage. And like in the last 2 games, there were 2 moments where the life mattered more than the damage. The inertia one specifically was the access to better information to do my turn is also important outside of just the free for free value. But yeah, these are 2 Oscillio games. I hope you learned something. Obviously, we lost the second one, but it's not always about winning, it's about learning. And I feel like we've learned a few things about this matchup, how to play it, how to position, how to understand what we're trying to do at each point of the game. Understand what if we're the ones in the lead, if the ones behind. When are we taking tempo versus value, and when should we handle life over damage? And hopefully that was useful. And yeah, I wish you a nice day.